Hello everyone, it's another edition of Diaspora Network, the show where we showcase Nigerians who are doing the country proud in different parts of the world. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. On the show today, tourism meets development. We focus on the most sought-after tourist destinations in the world and the Nigerians behind the brands that have become some of the most breathtaking wonders of the world. Our special report looks at tourism as a key driver of economic growth and development globally. And do look out for Stella Fubara, a Nigerian in the diaspora who bears the responsibility of promoting tourism to the African market. That's what the show looks like in a nutshell. Let's start off now with a look at what's in the news this week.
Nigerians from around the world have widely condemned a decision by the United Arab Emirates to reject all outgoing visa requests from Nigerians and to refuse any new applications to be made, with all fees previously paid non-refundable. Although no official reason for the blanket ban has been provided by officials, it is widely suspected that this is a move to prevent visitors from overstaying their visit and working there illegally. The highly controversial decision has shocked Nigerian citizens, many of whom contribute significantly to the UAE economy. The announcement follows a ban on tourist visas for Nigerians under 40 years old. In the past, UAE authorities have called out security threats from Nigerians in the country, as some have been linked to involvements in cultism, theft and other criminal activities. Meanwhile, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission has confirmed that a young woman has been allegedly sentenced to prison for a cybercrime in the UAE. In a tweet, Dunchi La claimed that she and more than 20 Nigerians with valid passports were being held at an airport with no explanation, pleading for help. She then shared a video of the tense scene at the airport, with many voicing their frustrations. Although she was eventually released by her sister, who was luckily already staying in the country, others who travelled solo did not receive the privilege of leaving detention. She later tweeted that after being held for 8 hours, she was examined with a body scanner and her belongings were individually searched for drugs and weapons, although she claimed that she was entering the country on a family visa. NIDCOM has urged Dunchi La to appeal against her conviction. Staying with the tense relations with UAE, the federal government has evacuated 542 Nigerians who were stranded in the country. In a statement, the National Emergency Management Agency told reporters that the evacuees, which included 3 infants, were given a token for transportation to their destinations following a series of health screenings. One of the evacuees has blamed the situation on the UAE's new visa policy, which is barring Nigerians from obtaining and renewing their work permit amidst tensions between Middle Eastern countries and other African nations. Officials are in further talks with evacuees who wish to return home. In lighter news, British-Nigerian artist Little Simz has won the 2022 Mercury Prize for her 4th album, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert.
Little Simz for her album Sometimes I Might Be Introvert.
The award is given to the Best UK Album of the Year and comes with a cash prize of £25,000. It's the second award that Little Simz has won this year for the critically acclaimed album, which demonstrates the rapper's subtle yet implosive talent and artistry. Simz, whose real name is Simbiatu Ajikawo, has never shied away from her Nigerian roots, and she filmed the music video to one of the album's tracks, Point and Kill, in Lagos, alongside Calabar-born artist Obongjaya. Juliana Olayinka with the Diaspora Network News Wrap in London.
President Muhammadu Buhari has reminded Nigerians resident in the Republic of Korea that they are the faces of Nigeria and should endeavor to project a positive image of the country through their actions, character, conduct, and general comportment. The president stated this during an interactive meeting with the leadership and select members of the Nigerian community as part of his engagements at the end of the first World Bio Summit, while urging them to remain good ambassadors of Nigeria at all times. He also reiterated that the federal government, through the Nigerian embassy in the country, will continuously strive to protect their interests. On preparations for the 2023 general elections, President Buhari sought their prayers and support to enable the country transition peacefully to the next administration and deepen the democratic processes with the Republic of Korea.
Are you a Nigerian in diaspora? Do you have a need to contact Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM? Kindly dial any of the numbers on your screen. You can also catch up with all the Commission's activities, including news, articles, and office events on the website nidcom.gov.ng.
Well, the general perception is that people go abroad in search of exotic places to relax and recuperate. Well, guess what? Nigerians are leading the tourism drive in many of the choice destinations of the world. Take a look at this.
In most countries, the tourism industry plays a vital role as a driver of economic growth and development. This includes transportation, attractions, travel, accommodation, hospitality, and much more. It is a major boost for revenue, international relations, businesses, employment, cultural exchange opportunities, and that of entertainment and recreation. While for tourists, it improves well-being and education. In recent times, the global tourism industry has grown at an unprecedented rate, and the desire to visit new places, break routines, meet new people, and experience different cultures is a major contributing factor. Globally, travel and tourism's direct contribution to GDP was put at approximately $5.8 billion in 2021, and for this reason, developing countries continue to provide incentives and favorable policies that enable even more development. Synonymous with wealth and luxury, Dubai has become one of the most sought-after destinations for holidaymakers who want to soak up the sun in style. According to travel booking and review website TripAdvisor, the city is top on its 2022 list of best 10 tourist destinations in the world, followed by London, Cancun, Bali, Crete, and Rome. Others are Cabo San Lucas, Istanbul, Paris, and a number of Nigerians are leading the tourism drive in some of these countries. Amaka Amatoku Ndeku is an award-winning hospitality professional with a proven history of tenacity, strong drive, passion, and leadership for over 10 years. She is the co-founder and chairperson of the African Association of Women in Tourism and Hospitality. She has contributed to the reform, growth, and socio-economic development of the hospitality and tourism industry in Nigeria and diaspora. Her impact and contributions have earned her several awards and international recognition, such as the 2021 Tourism Hero by the World Tourism Network. She established the Pine Awards, which is the first prestigious hospitality and tourism awards in Nigeria. Another household name is Nigerian investment professional and serial entrepreneur Muyiwa Omololu. He founded the Eco Water Buses Limited to provide modern water transportation in Lagos. In 2015, he led a group of investors to acquire an aluminium shipyard and Aluminium Boats Australia in Brisbane, Queensland. He also led a team of 18 international investors to the Rwanda Development Board in 2020. He founded the Ropeways Transit Rwanda Limited, a company that specializes in developing cable cars for urban transportation in the city of Kigali. Nigeria is a vibrant country with a mix of beauty, culture, food, and natural wonder. The Obudu Mountain Resort in Cross River State, the Oluma Rock in Ogun State, the Yankari Game Reserve in Bauchi, Lekki Conservation Center in Lagos, and many others are a true testament to this. Over the years, Nigerian tourism experts in diaspora have shown an interest to contribute and partner with government and private sector to revive the industry if given the necessary support, as many of them believe the sector is a gold mine ready to be explored.
Now, there's truly a lot to think about in that regard. Come along as we head to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates to meet the Regional Director of International Operations at the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism. Stella Fubara is from Opobo town in Rivers State, South Nigeria. She was born in the United States of America to the family of Professor Dagogo and Dr. Mrs. Vinolia Fubara. A few years after her birth, her family moved to Canada, and shortly after, they moved back to their home country, Nigeria.
Somewhere along that journey, my father realized that he was raising Nigerian children, and they wouldn't know their heritage. And he didn't quite like the way blacks were treated in the United States back then. Those were turbulent times. And so when I was 8 years old, he moved us all back to Nigeria. Great experience. We all moved. He went to the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, the Enugu campus. He was the dean there. My mom was also a lecturer there in sociology. And we had a great life.
As a teenager, she gained admission into the university to study engineering. But 3 years down the line, she realized she wasn't satisfied with that career path.
I knew that this was the wrong path for me. So I go to my parents. Got to remember, my dad is a professor, dean. My mom is a psychology, social work lecturer. And I go to them and I tell them, this isn't working for me. And I don't know what I want to do, but it's not engineering. And my parents are like, okay, you do realize that a university degree is not an option. You must get one. And I said, well, I haven't figured out what I want to do. And my plan was, I don't want to continue with engineering and flunk. Let me just leave while I'm ahead of the game so that I won't have that she failed on her resume. So I stopped, I withdrew. My parents were in shock. They weren't talking to me. We're living in the same house. In the morning, my food is on the table after everybody else's. Everybody's going to work. I'm at home. And then my godfather came to visit, Dr. Eugene Ibe. He went to school with my dad at Government College, Umahia. And of course, they told him everything about how I was disappointing the family and blah, blah, blah. And my godfather was like, well, let's try something else for her. And I was like, yeah, what else? Because I have no clue what I want to do. He goes, why don't we go into accounting, finance, business? Let's see if that's for you. And my dad was like, well, she's not doing it here. And my godfather was like, okay, I'll find you a school. So he goes to Imo State University at the time, and he gets me admission into Imo State University to do accounting. And so I move to Imo State University. After about 4 or 5 months, my parents, or my dad in particular, relented and came to see me in school to see if I was doing okay. And it was fine. I was loving it. It was a great school. It was brand new at the time. The infrastructure was great. I met up with a lot of friends that I had known before.
And once again, her family decided to move.
And so my father made the decision. He was like, you know what? I guess it's time for us to go back to the United States. Everyone, all the kids, mom and all the kids, there's 7 of us by this time, by the way. I'm number 2, so I've got 5 younger ones. He's like, everybody, back to the States. So we all started going slowly, not all at once. My mom went with 2 sisters, and then my older brother went. A younger brother went, and then I finally got there. And when I got there, I went to Ohio State University. We went back to Columbus because that's where we knew. And, you know, we're all in university. And then I enrolled at Columbus, Ohio State University to finish my finance and accounting. I graduated from Columbus, which, as far as my parents were concerned, was a miracle because they weren't sure I was going to finish university. But, you know, along this journey, so guess what? I went to 3 universities. I went to 2 primary schools, 2 secondary schools, and 3 universities. But I still made it, and that's the point of the story. Don't give up. You know, there's a African proverb that says, your morning is when you wake up. Everybody's morning is different. I took a longer path, but I still got there. I went on immediately to do my master's. And my parents were like, whoa, who is this child? This is the child that didn't want to do her first degree and now she wants to do her master's? Graduated my master's with honors. Along the way, got married. Incidentally, got married, had 2 kids, was doing my MBA and working full time. Talk about wanting to make up for lost time. I just crammed it all. And it didn't even feel like I was doing my MBA. I don't know. I guess I'm used to working under pressure. I don't even know how to explain it. But got done with my MBA, had a great job. At the time, I was working with Nationwide Insurance Company as an auditor. And once again, the ugly head of dissatisfaction reared itself. And I'm like, man, this accounting, auditing, finance stuff, I'm not feeling it. You know, what am I going to do? So I actually quit my job and I decided to become a consultant.
3 decades later, Stella has demonstrated huge capacity and has shown excellence at her craft, working with top establishments like Deloitte Touche, Disney World, Wyndham Vacation Resorts, and Waka Now. In this time, she discovered her passion for tourism development and made the career change that led her to her current position as Director, International Operations, Dubai Tourism, Africa. She's a mother of 4 beautiful children who are making names for themselves in their chosen career paths. Coming up on Diaspora Network, we find out more about Stella Fubara. She tells us all about life as the principal driver of tourism in the United Arab Emirates. Welcome back to the program. Now let's continue our chat with Stella Fubara about her accomplished career in tourism. She tells us about navigating the global tourism and hospitality industries and how passion has been the driver of her career.
I've been at Walt Disney World for about 5 or 6 years. And if you're doing well in your job, word gets around. And so I started getting a lot of headhunters, trying to get me to move to other companies. And I would always say no. And my ex-husband at the time told me, you know what? You should never say no to an interview. Always go for every interview, of course, if it's a good company, and just hear what they have to say, because you just never know. So I get dressed and I go for this interview. It's with Wyndham Vacation Resorts, Wyndham Hotels. And I'm in there interviewing with the at the time he was the executive vice president. And halfway through the interview, he stops and he goes, "Are you bored?" And I was like, "No, why would you ask that?" And he goes, "You've been yawning the entire time I've been talking." So then I said, "Okay, let me fess up. I'm only here because you don't turn down an interview. But I really don't see how moving here can be better than where I am at Walt Disney World." And he looked at me and goes, "You know what? I'm going to take you on. You're a challenge. I am going to bring you to this company. I'm going to give you everything you ask for, and you're going to love it." And 3 weeks later, I had moved to that company. And I spent 7 great years there, traveling everywhere. I mean, it's the hospitality industry. So I've moved from Walt Disney World was hospitality, it was entertainment, it was food and beverage, it was clothing, it was everything, so I got to touch everything. So now I moved, to hospitality.
And while she's no stranger to working in the various continents of the world, Stella notices a trend where Nigerians in the diaspora who try to make an impact find themselves struggling with issues of acceptance in their countries of origin, as well as in the global regions where they live and work.
So the diaspora are struggling to be welcomed in their country of origin and to be welcomed in the country where they're working. They're lost either way. And so for those of us who are not working in our country of citizenship, because I'm not working in the United States, I have citizenship there, and I'm not working in Nigeria, I'm working in Dubai. It's almost like I'm nobody. But we have so much to offer by not working in our country of citizenship. The things we learn here, we're readily available to help in the countries where we come from, help bring back those best practices and help move them along faster than they should be. I don't know if the perception of diasporans is going to change in my lifetime. Come on, it was one of the reasons. My dad was a diasporan, if you will, back in the 60s and 70s, and moved back home and made a huge impact, but still was never really able to break into that, all those ideas and those best practices he learned working in the United States, working in Canada, working in the UK. Was he really ever able to implement them in Nigeria? I think not. I would say to my fellow diasporans, keep doing what you're doing and do it very, very, very well. Even if you're not recognized in your country, the country that has adopted you sees your value. And for that reason, they pay you. They promote you. We have diasporans in positions of political power in the UK, in Canada, in the US, because that country has seen the value that they have to offer. So there is benefit in working in the diaspora, but don't get too comfortable being there that you don't want to give back in some way, shape, or form to the country of your origin.
And here's her advice on how Africa can maximize the potential of a global tourism industry.
They say that the best way to educate yourself is to travel. Travel is the quickest way to educate yourself. You go places and you see people doing things differently in a better way than you could have imagined, and you quickly adopt that. That's what Africa needs to do. They need to take advantage of the growth of the Western world, if you will, and adopt what works and discard what doesn't. Keeping in mind that the culture in African countries is different from the Western world. So adopt what you can and adjust it for your culture. Because the one thing that a country should never do is sacrifice their culture. You sacrifice your culture, you lose your identity. How do you sacrifice your culture? It starts with the loss of language. The Spanish community does this very, very well. And this was evident to us in the United States. They speak Spanish in their homes and English outside, so that their children are always bilingual and stay close to the culture. In many countries, your language is your culture. So if you lose your language, the culture disappears. There are proverbs in cultural languages that, try as you might, when you translate them to English, you lose the essence of the proverb. So one of the things that African countries need to pay attention to is there's a culture drain. How many of us have kids that can't speak our language? I'm guilty. And for that, my kids are very upset. They would love to be able to speak any Nigerian language, and they can't.
But her advice is not without a caveat.
Until governments start playing a responsible role in tourism, in education, in the medical world, in transportation, until governments start playing a role of responsibility, I'm sorry, African countries will continue to lag behind in the world of infrastructure. We're an old continent, but we're a young continent. I believe Africa has the youngest population in the world. Most of the African countries, the median age is somewhere between 19 and 25. What does that mean? They have a huge population of youth that need experience, that need vision, that need something to dream for, dream about. Once in a while you come up with an idea that no one else has thought of, and you need to hustle to make it happen. But for the most part, if you search long enough, somewhere someone is doing something that you could do in your country. And so there's no need to spend 3 or 5 years, doing the research when you could pick up the idea from another country.
Despite some of the challenges, she still looks to the future of Nigeria's tourism industry with hope.
The answer is I will entertain all conversations and go where my passion is going to be best received. If at some time Nigeria feels they can receive my passion, or any other African country for that matter, and I feel I can make an impact, yes. And that's why I'm in Dubai, because Dubai has embraced my passion for tourism and are letting me make an impact that benefits everybody, not just Dubai. I never go to form an alliance with any partner without showing them the benefit for them. That's what makes great partnerships.
Well, from what we can see, the tourism space is vibrant with such a potential to grow the economy with the right kind of support. And that's the show. Do catch up with all our other editions online at www.channelstv.com. I'm Ijeoma Onyato. See you next time.